Okay, so let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. My name is Rafi Schulman and I'm the co-founder of Olim Advisors. Joining me tonight is Yirmi Berzon, who's the co-founder of TCS. Thank you, Yirmi, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me here. Good evening.
Of course.
Shabbat Tov, Chodesh Tov to everyone.
To you too as well. We have over 130 people who have registered for this webinar. And I'm always amazed by just the level of interaction and the fact that there's so many people who are looking to make Aliyah and are looking to settle in Israel. And I know that I speak on behalf of Yirmi as well, that we're just, we're happy to be here. We're happy to share information with you, to guide you, to answer your questions. If you haven't done so already, I encourage you to follow our Facebook pages on both for TCS as well as for Olim Advisors. There's a lot of really good content on there. We also have a YouTube channel, and whenever we create videos, we upload the recordings as well. So this is just, one of many webinars that we do. And so if you're looking for more information, if you need guidance, just feel free to check us out online, and hopefully you'll find the information useful. Before we get started, there are just three quick things I wanted to just touch upon. One is that you can type your questions in the Q&A or in the chat window, and we're going to go ahead and get to them at the end. We just want to stick to the agenda, and then we'll get to the webinar. We'll get to the questions at the end. I just see a question here about the volume. Yirmi, can you hear me okay?
I hear you pretty well, yes.
Okay. Hopefully everyone else can hear me well. The other thing is that we're going to put the contact information at the end. So we'll have a slide with our contact information. And we welcome you to contact us if you want to talk to us about becoming a client, or if you just have questions or you need some guidance or assistance, feel free to reach out to either of us or both of us. We'll be happy to talk to you and help you in any way that we can. And lastly, we are recording this, and I will send out an email by Tuesday with a link to the recording. So if you have to leave early for whatever reason, or if you've come late, don't worry about it. You'll be able to watch it again at your own convenience. I just want to give you a quick introduction, a quick overview of Olim Advisors and why we put on these webinars, why we host these webinars. So back in 2016, my sister and I decided that we wanted to help people make Aliyah, and we really started this organization with two goals in mind. The first goal was really to encourage people from around the world who have been thinking about making Aliyah, been dreaming about it, been planning it, and we wanted to just encourage them. We wanted to help them, to guide them, and thank God over the years we've helped a lot of people make Aliyah. The second goal, the second reason we started Olim Advisors was to help people deal with the daily challenges, adjust to life in Israel. As those of you who know, who are living here, it's a different language, a different culture, and it takes a while to adjust. It might take you a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a few years. And there's always things that come up. And so we wanted to provide information, provide people with guidance and assistance to not just make Aliyah and get here, but also then to adjust to life in Israel and to live a very happy life here. Since we started in 2016, we've been focusing on Aliyah, but we also help Anglos, people who are in Israel. And recently, we've also expanded into real estate. So many people who want to find a home in Israel, or if they're not making Aliyah, they want a vacation home in Israel, or they want to just invest in the Israeli real estate. This is something that we're now helping as well. We help guide people through the process and protect their interests. So if you're thinking about buying a home or renting a home for that matter, reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk to you about the services that we provide and how we can help you. Now, when it comes to choosing a telecommunications company, whether it's internet, cable, mobile phone, it's something that many of us take for granted until it doesn't work, right? So it's something that's kind of playing in the background. And then when something happens, we suddenly realize how integral a part it is of our life, how it impacts our personal lives, our work lives, our family lives. And it's something that we at Olim Advisors get a lot of questions about, whether it's from Olim or from Anglos. People want to know how they should choose the company or the right companies, how the industry works, what options they have, what packages they have. And so I invited Yirmi to join us tonight because he knows it from the inside. He's been in this industry for years. He founded a company that is focused on helping Anglos and Olim. So with that, Yirmi, I'd like to hand it over to you. If you can take a moment, introduce yourself, and then we'll go to the agenda for tonight.
Okay, Rafi, thank you very much for the introduction. And like we spoke a couple of times, to a certain extent, I envy you and the Olim advisors the job of bringing helping Olim come to Israel and stay in Israel and be happy in Israel. It's not a easy feat, and thank you for letting me be part of that. My name is Yirmi Berzon. I'm actually born and bred, lived there my whole life. I was born in Israel. My parents made Aliyah before Olim Advisors was even a dream in 1969. I live in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and I've been in the Israeli and international telecom industry for pretty much 22 years now. And I'd like to think that this evening I'd like to give everybody the most best possible picture and description on the most objective level of what's going on in telecom in Israel. For those of you that live in Israel, you might agree with a lot of the stuff I say, and you might even be nodding your heads, etc. And those of you living in your state, overseas prior to making Aliyah, I'm hoping to give you enough information and tools in order to try to make the best possible decisions for yourself in order to be able to come to Israel, continue whatever you need to be doing online, etc. So, in a quick overview of an agenda that we built together, and the quick overview of the Israeli telecom industry. Pretty much there are a bunch of groups. There were always the Bezek group, the blue team, however you want to call it, were always the incumbent. They were pretty much the bell of Israel. And when new companies came in, they tried to deregulate as much as possible in order to take away that tremendous amount of market power that Bezek had in order to be able to come and create more competition and prices to go down. So as opposed to when my parents made Aliyah and it took them 3 years to get a phone line, and that was a party line, you could usually get a phone line installed or an internet line installed predominantly, probably 99% of Israel from today, tomorrow, or from today to the next day. The telecom map in Israel divides up because of the regulator trying to break up all the monopoly that was going on here, breaks up into a couple of groups. We still have the Bezek group, which is the incumbent group. They are the largest group, and they pretty much offer and sell internet connectivity. And in Israel, it's very important, and it's very hard for foreigners and Olim to accept that internet connectivity separates into the infrastructure and to the ISP, and people that take you from your home to their hub, and from your hub now out to the world, to the internet, divides up into two. The regulator is working very hard to stop that, and hopefully at the beginning and mid of 2022, that's going to disappear from the world. Bezek is that big company, is the largest infrastructure company, and is very, very, very high tech, high level, and trying as much as possible to get their ADSLs everywhere. And now they're putting out fiber. That's the Bezek group. Within the Bezek group, and they're not connected, is people don't know this, even the people living in Israel, there's what's called the Alpha group, which is Bezek International, Pelephone, and what we call Yes, which is the satellite TV. That's the second group that's pretty sells, even though they're owned by Bezek, they're separate in what they do. The Cellcom group, which sells everything today, and the Partner group and the Hot group. Those are pretty much the four groups that are out there. And each one has its pros and each one has its cons, and they're all fighting on market share as much as possible. I do want to point out that each one works in a different technology. On the internet level, let's talk about that because that's what's important. On the internet level, Bezek is working on copper ADSL asymmetric. Digital subscriber lines is what we know, which the speeds go up till only to 100 or 200 if you're lucky. And they're trying to get fiber optics. What we know is the fiber that we know pretty much as they can anywhere in Israel. The Hot group works on the cable network, on the coax. Your good old cable with the nice big coax cable that comes into your house with the little pin at the end. And again, has a lot of pros and a lot of cons to it. On the cellular level, which is really pretty much, it's important to understand on the cellular level, there are three networks in Israel. There, as three networks in terms of towers and reception, which is important to understand this. There's the Cellcom network, which is shared by what we know as Golan Telecom, which is another cellular phone company. It's an MVNO of Cellcom. There is the Pelephone network, which is part of that Alpha group that we discussed, and Rami Levy is also on it. And then there's the Hot Mobile Partner Network, which is a third network. Those are the three networks in terms of cellular coverage that are existent in Israel. And there are other small MVNOs that ride on each network. And pretty much the networks are all on the same level on a technology level. Some of them might not offer you certain services that you might need and require, such as getting a foreign number on your Israeli cell phone. So not all of the companies offer them. Actually, there's only 2 or 3 companies that offer that, which means that if you're in the same conversation, you made Aliyah from Los Angeles, from LA, and you want to get a 310 number on your mobile phone in Israel, there's only 2 or 3 companies in Israel that would be offering that, not the bigger ones. Pelephone does not offer that. Partner and Cellcom don't offer that anymore. And Golan Telecom also killed that, and they're not offering that service anymore. But on the technology level, they're the same. On a reception level, it's very, very, very individual to where the person is going to be, the user himself. So Rafi, in your yeshuv where you live, you might have great coverage for Cellcom, but the coverage for Pelephone and for Hot or Partner might not be great, or vice versa, or you might have all 3 great. But that's just in where you live. But if you're going to come to, for example, travel from where you live to Tel Aviv, you might drop your calls on the way, etc. So it's really on a reception level, it's very individual to the person and how he uses it and what's going on. And that covers the cellular part of things. It's very important that people understand that, because I get a lot of questions: who has the best reception in Israel? Okay. However, it's very particular to how where you're planning to be using your cell phone and how you're planning to use your cell phone. In the major areas, in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv and in Modi'in, whatever it may be, chances are all 3 companies will have very good reception. But here in between, you'll have dead spots, and that happens. It happens in the States very much, also happens in England, and happens overseas.
Yirmi, I think that's a great point. And when people who are making Aliyah ask us these questions, we encourage them to talk to people in not just the city, but the neighborhood, and very often even from building to building. Sometimes reception can change. So what we tell people is find out what your neighbor's using, and then go with that company.
It's funny because what you're saying is, and it's also very particular, because, for example, in certain areas, like I said, I live in Beit Shemesh, and Beit Shemesh is having a growth spurt. Like we're gonna, I think by 2025 we're gonna be 250,000 residents in Beit Shemesh, which is crazy, and they're building everything and everywhere, any lot they could build. So wherever there is a cell tower, and that's again, a cell tower at the end of the day also needs line of sight. So if that cell tower suddenly, a brand new a building comes up, or 6 buildings come up around them, and again, the coverage is limited, and that it takes a step back. The companies are working very hard to get this. So is the regulator. The regulator understands that, especially after COVID. But I mean, thank God I will risk and say that we're out of it, hopefully. But during the last year and change of COVID, where they realized that they need to have a very, very strong cellular network that's able to come and provide to the end users, to us, data, voice, and SMS at the highest and best possible level. They've actually poured in, I'm not exaggerating, probably hundreds of millions of dollars over the last year into their infrastructure, into the network. And the regulator himself is also trying to make it much easier to get to get licensing to put out more mini cell sites, etc. So to recap what you said is exactly that. You really need to understand where you're going to be geographically. I mean, certain companies also have different solutions. So if you're in your house, and you don't have good reception, so some of the companies have Wi-Fi calling that it allows the regular calls to come in through your mobile device, but it's using your home Wi-Fi, and some of them don't. So you really need to figure out what your needs are. And again, although prices are very low in Israel, they are, based upon the study that was done in the OECD, Israel is probably one of the lowest ones of the developing countries in the world. However, you need to understand, okay, great, it's cheap, but if it doesn't work, who needs it? You need something that works for when you need it, et cetera. It's very important. So that covers, again, the cellular world, of the wireless world. Coming to TV, I don't know who's interested in TV, not TV. Israel on a TV level, pretty much just divides up into two. There are what we call the OTTs, which is the streaming services, etc. Like you could order Netflix, you could order BBC online, you could order all these different things. However, be aware, people, you make Aliyah. It's all IP, it's geo-IP related, meaning they know that you're in Israel. There are a lot of VPN companies that sell you services, etc. They do. Some of them work. Some of them stop working. So be aware and be careful about that. But if you come into Israel, you will only be able, if you're doing it like how they say in Hebrew, kmo shetzarich, like you're supposed to, chances are the Netflix that you're going to be able to see and all the other HBO streaming services will be only what's allowed to be transmitted in Israel. However, in Israel, the regular 2 TV services are, we have HOT, which is the coax. Again, the typical old school, it's not old school because it's all digital, etc., but the typical coax broadcasting, real time, very good, very, very real. And then you have the Yes DBS, which is the satellite TV, which again, some of them, they're pushing away from installing the satellites, so some of them install the satellites still in order for you to be able to have reception. Those are probably the 2 closest real time. I just know that because now that the World Cup is going on, so everybody's complaining that all the other services that they're using, which are not HOT or Yes DBS, that like they'll hear their friends screaming, "Oh, it's a goal!" And like, they're like, "What are you talking about? The ball's still on the other side of the court." So that pretty much divides up the TV. The TV, there's most of the Israeli broadcast channels are available either on smart TVs on applications for free, or are available today to watch on a browser, and you'll be able to watch the news, etc. I don't know if their content, but the news and things that are important, you'll be able to watch. So that covers the TV. Coming back to two more, let's talk aspects of this really telecom industry or world or playing field, however you want to call it, or killing field. I don't know how you want to call it, but we speak about is home phone. People think like home phones is a dead thing. Like, it's not around, but it really is. It's still growing actually, because people have younger children that are in Yishuvim. They'll walk home from school. They're 9 or 10 years old. They don't need to have a mobile yet. They don't need to have a cell phone. They'll walk home and they'll pick up their phone and say, "Mommy, Daddy, whatever it is, I'm home. Don't worry about it. If you need me, call me," and they hang up and say that's what I do that with my kids. My kids don't have cell phones. The younger ones, of course, below the age of 15 at the moment, don't have cell phones. And that's the way we do it. We have a house phone. I do recommend to have a house phone just for that particular scenario. Also, a lot of people want to leave a mobile phone by the door so the kids could use it. That's also an option. It's probably cheaper. I don't know. I'm not sure. And the second or the last thing is international direct dial, what we call picking up your phone and actually making a phone call and calling the States or anywhere else that you want to call, because not every time when we make a phone call, like when we need to do something for work, for business, etc., are you able to come and make a WhatsApp call, or if you need to call the DMV in the States and tell them that you change your phone number. I mean, everything's online today, but if we're old school, whatever it may be, you still need to make a phone call, and that divides up into a bunch of providers, which hopefully the plan's not in 2022, but hopefully in 2023, 24, the regulator is planning to kill them. That's pretty much the entire spectrum of the Israeli telecom world. Like, again, I just want to recap it because we really need to understand that there are a bunch of, I would even call them telecom groups, okay, that work in Israel. We have the partner group, right? Partner, what used to be Orange in Israel. Partner offers mobile connectivity, offers internet, okay, via either fiber to the home, again, residential fiber that they offer, and or regular copper ADSL. They resell Bezek. They offer their own TV product, okay, and they also offer international direct dial and home phone, which is pretty much what we call VoIP phones, which is a little box that they put in your house. They install it, and they're great and they're wonderful, and they have a lot of coverage. Their footprint on the fiber level is the lowest footprint. We'll discuss that in a second, but it's the lowest footprint on the fiber level. They only put again, residential fiber, what we call residential fiber, which we're hearing our friends getting, as you know, in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, and in Ra'anana. They only put it in what we call in Israel bniya revuya, which is usually buildings like, apartment buildings that have more than Again, this is the rule. They do deviate from the rule sometimes, but they have more than 40 to more than 40 apartments, so they're able to come. It's worth it for them to come and actually put cable in. To put fiber in that building and disperse it around the apartments. That's partner. Hot is the second group. Hot is a group that again is it's a little cumbersome because they have Hot Mobile, which is the mobile wireless division, and then they have a Hot, which covers the TV and the internet and the home phone, and they have the Hot Internet. But that's pretty much the same thing. They also have a fiber to the home solution. They're probably the second from the bottom in terms of the footprint on that level. I do want to point out one thing that's very important in Israel and everywhere. Everything that's called fiber to the home or residential fiber is, first of all, it's usually asymmetric. It's not symmetric, meaning you'll have, for example, if it's a gigabyte line, you'll have a gigabyte download, but you'll have only 100 megabit upload, but it's statistical. It's not guaranteed. What does that mean? That means that if in my building, all 40 of the apartments have Bezek fiber or partner fiber and everybody's downloading at the same time, I'm not going to reach my 1000 megabit, my 1 gigabyte speed. That needs to be clear. The third group is the Cellcom group, right? In the Cellcom group, we have, again, they offer a TV product, which is very popular. The second, it's the third popular TV product. They offer cellular coverage, they offer international calling, and they offer home internet. Also with fiber, happens to be that they share their fiber, again, the residential fiber network with Hot. They're partners in the network. They resell, everybody sells on the same infrastructure. And last but not least is the Bezek group, like we discussed, which divides up into two. Bezek itself, which sells you the residential fiber and internet and home phone. And then the groups below, Bezek International, they combine and Pelephone and Yes, which offers you the TV services, the home internet services, and of course, international calling and cellular services via Pelephone. So I think that's pretty much the coverage. The footprint of each company is very important. Okay, so if let's say, for example, reception in Beit Shemesh, for the sake of the conversation, the best reception would be Cellcom. Okay, it's not, but let's say for the sake of conversation. However, Cellcom does not have, let's say, residential fiber. So that's great. It's there's no advantage for me getting a Cellcom cell phones and getting the internet elsewhere because I'll still be getting those bills. The challenges. I know that was a little long, but it's very important that we understand that's the footprint, and it's actually gotten a little more complicated since our last speak. The challenges are that still till today, the regulators trying to change that, but still till today, you will have one bill from one company, another bill from another company, another bill from another company. You cannot be charged by one combined bill. There are very few packages on the market that you're able to do that, and they're not always very, customer
transparent. Yeah.
Transparent, and it's a problem. Sometimes they'll give you a promotion. The promotion goes up, but it only went up on this, and you have to call them up. You have to come say, what's going on? Why'd you do that? Etc. None of them speak anything except none of the companies, or actually, I did hear that there's somebody in Orange and Partner, that there is one or two groups within the customer service that offer English as a second language or a third language. And I heard that they're very good, but it's very rare and hard to get to them. They only speak Hebrew, Russian, and Arabic. And that's pretty much the three official languages of Israel. But Tachlis, that's the only languages they speak. And you got to deal again. If you have a problem, he'll tell you it's infrastructure. He'll tell you it's your ISP, and he'll tell you it's your phone. You don't have coverage, or your phone's broken. So there's a lot of shuffling and tungling and juggling that one has to do in order to be able to keep his head above the water. And again, with fiber rolling out, fiber is an exceptional product, but with fiber rolling out, there's a lot of different things to make sure that the fiber works properly and correctly, that one needs to make sure that he takes over for them. I think I've pretty much covered the Israeli companies, etc. The challenges. Coming back to just put another word in the challenges. It happens to be like it's not easy to deal with Israeli telecom companies, even though they're really trying to be beseder. They're trying to be nice, they're trying to be good, but unfortunately, it's not customer oriented. It really is like it's not client centric. They're like, you'll find, hopefully, if you call and you get one guy, one woman, or one, whatever it is, one representative speaking to you, it'll be great and wonderful and things will work out. But as a rule of thumb, they're unfortunately, they're not client centric. They're really not. They really want to make sure they work on masses. They don't, like, if you're with them, great. If you, for example, poured out your cell phones, like, till you poured out, then there's nobody to talk to. And the minute you poured out your cell phone, then they start calling you. Why'd you leave me? Why'd you leave me? Why'd you leave me? But in essence, it's not easy to deal with them. I have to say, it's pretty much a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of, on your side, the Olim side, dealing with government offices is similar.
Right.
And
one of the challenges I found is that I'll get sales calls periodically from companies, and they speak Hebrew, and I don't even know which company they're representing. There's Bezek Ben Lumi, and they talk about different packages. And this happened to me actually once, where I switched it, and they assured me that nothing was going to change, and so I switched. And literally within a few hours, my internet went down, and then it took me hours to try and figure out, what went wrong and why I was promised a certain thing. And so, the Israeli companies are really notorious with the promotions that they offer to try and get people to switch. And I find more often than not that it's just confusing and not worth the hassle. So it's just something, as Yirmi was saying, it's part of the, kind of goes with the territory of dealing with the Israeli companies, is that, this is really how they make the money, is that they get you through the door, and then they're looking to upgrade you and change you and offer different service to you that you might not need.
I hear what you're saying. Like, it happens a lot. Like, I get calls myself. The best part is, like, my personal cell phone, it's my company phone, is with Hot Mobile, and I get a phone call from one of the distributors. Mr. Berzon, would you like to transfer your phone? I'm like, I am in Hot Mobile. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, whatever. It has to do with different databases and selling different data, etc. Coming to the next point, if you don't want to work with the big companies, what alternatives do you have? You have alternatives. There are alternatives. The alternatives are to, like, either find the small niche companies that you feel comfortable work with. Again, trying to be as objective as possible to find, like, friends and family that have made Aliyah ahead of you, preferably that live in your area, that have had good and positive experiences, be it on reception, be it on installation, be it on service, and be it on support after that date, be it on billing, that the billing is accurate, etc., and that there is somebody to talk to. There are also, there are Anglo and Francophone companies that are offering our services, offering the similar services to all these companies. TCS is one of them, but there are others also. I'll be honest with you, there are others out there. Some are better, and some are not so much better, but there are great ones out there too. Ways to save money. I think it's pretty much all over the world, Rafi, to say, unless you want to say something.
We talked about a couple of the points we talked about. One is bundling. So if you do go with TCS or with some of the other companies, like in the States, if you bundle your cable, your internet, your phone, very often you can save money. So that's one thing to look into. And the other thing is that a lot of the companies do offer pretty attractive promotions to sign you up, but they end usually within a year or so. So you need to contact them and make sure that you take advantage of whatever promotion is being offered when, before your contract expires. And so you could save, 30, 40, 50 shekel a month just by rolling into the new promotions every year. And so there's a couple of ways to save money. And those are the two ones that I think come up most frequently, is bundling the services and just being aware of the different promotions that are available.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on two different things on that. It's very important. I find many customers or clients of TCS don't do it, but it's a rule of thumb everywhere. Keep an eye on your credit card, keep an eye on your bank account. All right. Always understand what you're being charged for and what's coming off of your credit card and what's coming off of your account. Make sure very clearly that your email address and or your cell number is registered properly at the telecom company you decide to get, so that when you get your bill, you're able to look, even if it's in Hebrew, you're able to look it over and show it to a friend or a family member or a neighbor or somebody at work and say, what is Bezek charging me 137 shekel for per month? Like, why? And he'll say, well, you bought 1,000 minutes to Jamaica. And I'm like, I don't know anybody in Jamaica. Like, why am I doing that? Is just to be on top of your game. Like, you really need to be on top of it. Look it over. It's not a negotiating thing. It's just to make sure that if you understood what you're getting, don't get charged more than you're supposed to. And by the way, the promotions that you're speaking about are usually not a year. Like, most companies now, and for sure for the last year, are coming out with 3-month promotions. So they'll come out with a 3-month promotion, which is very attractive. And customers say, well, I'm only paying a shekel 22 for fiber a month. And I'm like, yeah, really? Well, first of all, read the small print and like, oh, okay. And you have to pay for installation. You have to pay this. You have to pay for that. You have to pay that. So you really need to understand what you're getting. The promotions are that's what marketing is supposed to do. Marketing is supposed to sell, and marketing is doing their job well by making sure that you're able to come and get you through the door, like you said. So try us for 3 months. And by the way, this is also very important to understand. Besides, companies charging for fiber installations, which they're doing, and that's fine. They are spreading it out in 36 installments, but that doesn't mean that you need to be with them for 36 months. And installments is the way Israelis do it, tashlumim, right? They're very big into kama tashlumim, how many payments and installments, which is wonderful. But on the residential level, when it comes to telecom, there is no such thing as a commitment. Don't let anybody sell you otherwise. There's no commitment by the big companies, and there's no commitment by companies like TCS and the other companies like us that are out there, okay? Be it Anatel, there are companies out there. There's no commitment. And people need to understand that if you're not happy with a certain company, you could say, thank you very much, goodbye. The advantages of working with with different companies is that you're able to mix and shuffle and see what's best for you. And that's, by the way, again, coming to that point, which is very important. It's about everything. Any country, doesn't matter, Israel, not Israel. Keep an eye on your credit card charges. Keep an eye on your bank, your ACH charges that come off, or what they call in Hebrew, your hora'ot keva, to make sure that they do coincide with the bill that you get, and you're not getting charged extra. And I do want to say one thing, it's unfortunate, but it is something that's being said out there. Cell phone companies in Israel, the famous tablet chinam, was free. There's no such thing as a free ride. Okay. There are plenty of people, and we know some person we're trying to help out now that they got charged without even being told. They told it was this and it wasn't that. And if you don't keep your eye on it right away and stop it, it could blow up to lots and lots and lots of money. Okay.
The next point we're talking about is timing. So let's say somebody's making Aliyah. One of the things that you do that's really helpful, and we do as well, is schedule the appointments ahead of time. So if somebody comes in, let's say August 1st, one of the first things they want to have is they want to have their internet running up and running so that they can start working and the kids can be online. What's the timeline generally? If you call up a telecom company, if they call you and you help them set it up, or they call Bezek, how far in advance do they have to do that?
So first of all, that's a great point, especially with COVID. And now that the Ministry of Health in Israel is changing all the time the regulations, that they need to be in quarantine. Doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. Yes, you have to be 14 days wait. Our recommendation in general, and is as long as you have possession of the property that you're moving into, is to do the install anywhere between 7 to 10 days before you come to Israel. Why? Just in case, again, when they try to install and they realize, hold on a second, there is an infrastructure level. The pipe that's coming into your property, your apartment is blocked with rocks for some reason. So we need to either Bezek or the property owner needs to bring somebody, an electrician, to come clear that, because no company will install if they can't do it, to make sure that the internet's working, that there's reception, etc. We do recommend that ahead of time, that the installation should happen anywhere between 7 to 10 days prior to your coming, because when you land and you come to your home, which is going to be in Israel, Bezrat Hashem, you want to make sure that your internet's working well. You want to make sure that you have reception. You want to make sure your home phone's working well. You want to make sure that your mesh system and your Wi-Fi all over the house is working well, especially if you're going to be in quarantine. And the rule of thumb, by the way, in Israel is, again, this is the companies are doing, no telecommunications company technician and or installer is allowed coming into a home that anybody's there is either, God forbid, has corona, has COVID, or is in quarantine. For the plain reason is because they come in contact with so many people during the day, customers, even though they're wearing masks, they will have to go into quarantine and put people into quarantine. And more than that, they'll have to put their teams into quarantine because they're a organic team back in the, if it's in the depot or if it's wherever they pick up their, like, you know, their staff meetings, etc.
So in that case, Yirmi, if somebody wants to do before they arrive, then they have to have somebody to open up the apartment, right? Because there is some work that needs to be done inside of their apartment or their home. It's not just
Correct.
outside, right? So
correct. So they do need to have a point of contact that either has the key, neighbor, a friend, the landlord if they're renting, okay, and in order to be able to come and like, you know, let in the installer. All the companies give you a window of installation. It's 2 to 3 hours. It's not like the whole day. You have to wait from the morning to the night. And if they, by the way, they get penalized if they're late, okay, or if they need to push off and for no good reason, okay. If and it's definitely, again, very important to get these things set up before, because you don't want to land and go through the door and find two things not working: your AC in August, right? And your internet. And if they're both not working, you're up the creek. Yeah, you're up the creek.
Right. The other thing also, if you're already living in Israel, and let's say a person decides that they want to switch from Bezek, they want to go with TCS, they want to go with HOT. If I remember correctly, when I did it, the change is pretty instantaneous, right? They disconnect and they connect. You don't have to. There's no drop-off period for a period, a few days where you're in essence without internet and phone, right?
Well, in essence, correct. The point is, like any customer that migrates over to TCS platform, right? We always recommend, if they're migrating from another company, always recommend, let's install you, let's set you up, let's make sure you're fine for at least 3 or 4 or 5 days or a week, and then we'll come and help you and assist you to cancel and return your equipment to the previous provider. Which, by the way, is what we offer. We offer that service because, again, this doesn't need to be a headache to come run after Bezek or whatever it may be, or whatever company you used to work with, a partner, and say, okay, drive them nuts and crazy, because and they're going to continue charging you. We help you and assist you in the return process. We tell you what to do. We prepare the email for you to disconnect and disengage from the previous company. And again, like you just said, we always make sure that there's no downtime. I mean, sometimes there are, like, you know, it could be that there's downtime due to the fact that you decided to cut your bill off earlier because you went away for vacation for 2 weeks and you don't want to pay for those 2 weeks your previous provider. But in essence, we try to stay away and steer away from that.
Got it. Okay. I think that covers the information that we wanted to discuss. Let me just take a look here at some of the questions. And again, if you have any questions, now would be a great time to put it in here. Can you talk a little bit? Somebody asked a question: who does offer U.S. phone lines to cell phones? So somebody wants a U.S. number, and then they want people, their clients or their family, to call a U.S. number. Which companies offer that? So the calls are forwarded to the Israeli company.
So there are a bunch of online services that you could sign up with, which are not based in Israel. The ones based in Israel is there's Anatel. Anatel offers it. TCS offers it. And the other company that offers it is Golan is killing it, but there's a company called X21, which is pretty much, I think you also have to get their SIM card from them also, and the coverage from them. It's not a standalone product. I don't think it's a standalone product, but Anatel, like by TCS, for example, you could get that even if you don't want to have my mobile product. You don't have to have a SIM card with me to get that service. We prefer that you do, so I'll be able to give the quality of assurance and quality of service on the entire product, and not come and tell you, well, like, you know, the fact that you have bad reception, that's my problem if the SIM is for me. But if it's not for me, you're going to have to deal with it yourself. So that's pretty much the answer to that. Golan is taking it off totally.
There's a question here about TCS specifically. Do you service Bet El, Ofra, and Har Nof?
So in Beit El and Ofra and Har Nof, the only infrastructure that there is Bezek, and we do offer Bezek at the moment only on asymmetric ADSL, which is again up to 200 megabits depending. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but specifically Beit El, Gush Etzion, and Ofra and those areas were neglected for many, many years on a telecom infrastructure level. And there's very little coverage of HOT, which is, again, where there's competition, that you have to put infrastructure. Where there's no competition, companies don't, Bezek doesn't want to put infrastructure in. But the answer is yes, we could offer it. However, it's only on Bezek. It's only on Bezek, and the speeds are not great. I'm going to tell you straightforward, the speeds are not great.
A person here they have telephone coverage in Bet Shemesh. Oh, sorry. What is the telephone coverage in Bet Shemesh, Scheinfeld area? This person is renting a SIM card and is using that service. So they're asking about telephone in Bet Shemesh.
So again, it's very particular in Beit Shemesh. You have to understand also, I just want to add one more caveat, which I didn't point out at the beginning. We discussed the concept and idea of coverage. Cellular is very individual. A lot of Olim from pretty much all of them, they decide that they buy their new cell phones before they come and make Aliyah. They buy them in the States. Not all cell phones are fully compatible to the Israeli networks. It's very important they understand that. It means it doesn't have all of the frequencies, does not have all the bands. Doesn't matter if it's 5G, 4G, or 3G. That being said, if one buys a phone from the States that has all of the frequencies, pretty much Scheinfeld, Hot, and Partner have great coverage. Cellcom has good coverage, and also Pelephone has good coverage. To go into the new, to the intricate, to figure out does this street in my basement have coverage? That I couldn't tell you. If she's on Pelephone, the customer's on Pelephone, I recommend if it's an iPhone or if it's a more advanced Android phone, you could just very easily set up and they could contact me offline. Gladly, I'll help them, even if they're not with me, which is, again, this is really what I'm trying to do. And sign up right away for the Wi-Fi calling. That'll allow them, if it's areas that they have Wi-Fi, but they don't have coverage, they'll be able to still make phone calls and be available for calls.
Somebody's asking here about VPN, if they need VPN. So from my experience, it's good to have, I have kids that like to watch sports, and so they can watch the US sports, but you don't have to have VPN. If you want to go online, you want to go surf, you want to watch, it's really meant for shows that are streamed in from the rest of the world. And as Yirmi mentioned,
correct,
content licensing issues. So if you're using Netflix in Israel without a VPN, you won't be able to watch content that hasn't been licensed to be shown in Israel. So it's a nice perk to have, and there's a number of companies that offer it, but it's definitely not a must. You could live in Israel without VPN and have access to a lot of content.
I do need to point out that people don't realize this, but when you have a VPN client, such as ExpressVPN, NordVPN, whatever it may be, sitting either on a device, on a smart TV, on your computer, on your whatever it may be, on your mobile device, it slows your entire internet experience down. So that needs to be very, very clear. Yes, some of them work better. Some of them work longer. I've heard very good things about ExpressVPN. I've heard great things about NordVPN. My experiences with them, that they never worked for me. And again, I am a techie person, tried to set it up. For me, it doesn't work. So when my kids wanted to watch the Super Bowl, never got it to work. And so that's whatever it is, but it is what it is.
With fiber optics, there are a few questions about fiber optics. Is there a noticeable difference? I recognize you mentioned that it's not available in many parts of the country yet, but for those people who do have that option, is it something that they will notice, whether it's internet speed, TV, things like that?
Again, most residential usages in Israel and in the world don't need to have a 1 gigabyte connection. It's great and wonderful that you have it, right? But again, keep in mind it's statistical, so that if everybody's using it, it slows things down. But fiber is a game changer. There's no question about it. Again, coming back to the OECD study that we spoke about, yes, it's a game changer. Like, it promotes better thing. Like, faster internet promotes easier. Like, it's easier to telecommute. So I could be here and I don't have to go into my office to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. And why get stuck in 2 hours traffic each way or one way? It doesn't make, or both ways doesn't make a difference. So the answer is fiber is a game changer. The world is moving over to fiber. Some places are quicker than others. By us, it's definitely one of the mission statements of the previous government, of this government, of the regulator Yoaz Hendel. He says, I want to see fiber everywhere. The interesting thing is that in certain yeshuvim, coming back to Beit El and Ofra, right? And I know this is going on all over. There are private companies that are contacting, like, for example, Yad Binyamin, and they came over to the Moitzav Yad Binyamin, or to the whatever it is, to the town hall, and they came to deal with them. And this private company is putting down fiber as long as there were, I think, a certain 50 or 60% of the yeshuv signed on. But the commitment is you're going to have to use this company, I think, for 7 or 8 years. I don't think that's a problem because, it'll be great and wonderful, but that's these yeshuvim that are not getting that footprint from Bezek and Partner and Cellcom and Hot right away are saying, okay, I'm going to take my my own destiny in my hands, and I'm going to put it in because I want to be able to come offer, at least on the infrastructure telecommunications level, on an internet level, the fastest and best internet possible. So the answer is, in short, is yes, it's a game changer. Fiber is a game changer.
And remind us, which companies are offering fiber right now?
So pretty much there's Bezek, the incumbent. You can buy Bezek directly by going to Bezek COIL. You need to have a Tudat Zehut, and I think you need to have a local Israeli credit card for it. Bezek Partner, assuming that, again, all of these, again, one more time, is assuming their footprint is in your building. And again, they're predominantly only moving towards buildings. They're not doing private homes because it's not just economical for them. Partner, Cellcom, and Hot. That's pretty much the 4 companies. Again, remember that Cellcom and Hot share the same fiber network, residential fiber network, and us, of course, and TCS. Yes.
And when people look at the different companies, what can they compare them? How do they decide which one to go with? Are there different speeds, or is it just price alone?
So
what's the difference between the companies?
It happens to be that the pricing is very much similar, again, because you have to look at the marketing structures. It's 3 months like this, 2 months like that, 1 month like that. I tell everybody, don't look at the first 3 months or 6 months, whatever they're offering is a promotional offer. Always take the price after and sit there and gauge it against what you want to do, what you want to spend, etc. There's some better than worse. Look, it is so new. The residential fiber is so new that I can't come and tell you, but the experiences that I'm hearing, most people are saying that, again, that the service is great, meaning the service. The connectivity is wonderful and great, and that's not they're not experiencing anything on that level, and that's to do with the pricing, and again, most importantly, the footprint, because chances are you're not going to have all 3 infrastructure footprint in your building. You'll either have 1 or 2. If you have 3, that's a mistake.
Somebody's asking here about she's in the UK, or she wants to watch content from the UK, and asking about the best option for internet. I think at this point it doesn't matter where you're streaming from, whether it's UK, US, Australia, right? It's all you want to find the company that provides broad bandwidth. Correct.
It has to do with the bandwidth. It has to do with, again, with the pops until you actually get to where you're supposed to get to. But in the UK, if you're, I would most probably recommend to find one of those. I'm assuming if they don't need my friends that are the Brits that are tonight, hopefully bringing it home, right? They're bringing it home tonight. Hopefully. But the Brits that I know, they always tell me that they need to use a certain kind of VPN in order to be able to watch whatever they want to watch that's pure British content. Everything else is available and usually streaming easily. It doesn't make a difference.
And then somebody's asking here about which companies TCS partners with. So you mentioned a number of companies. Which are the companies that you've partnered with?
So on a mobile level, we partner with Hot Mobile and we partner with Pelephone. So we would have customers like, say, well, you know what? And let me take a step back. And on the internet level, we partner with Hot and we partner with Bezek Beinleumi, which is pretty much Bezek on the back end. And the nice thing by us would be like pretty much what I gave you an example is like if a customer says to me, you know what, the best internet I have in my neighborhood happens to be Bezek, but the best coverage is not Pelephone, it's Hot, then we were able to combine the different providers for him, as opposed to if he was going with one company, he would have to be with their SIM cards and with their internet and with their home phone, even if it doesn't work well. The advantages are like, I do need to come say that mix and match is very important, because if you really want to be available as and reachable with reception for everything that you do need.
Somebody's asking here about Google Talk. And so that's something that I'd actually use when we made Aliyah from the States. And I use it to port my numbers. So it is an option. If you're looking to keep your US number, you can set up through Google Talk and then you can port it over. So
there's two things I do want to point out. Yeah. It's Google Voice, and Google Voice works very well. Okay, as an app, assuming you have an app on your phone and on your smartphone. And I did you're able to also port out your mobile numbers from all over the world to TCS. We do offer that. I'm sorry I didn't point that at the beginning. We have many clients that make Aliyah and they port there. If it's the Verizon Wireless, T-Mobile, or 3, or everything everywhere from the UK or from Australia, and they port their numbers to our platform and they're able to continue getting it. However, coming back to your first point, Google Voice is great. It's definitely a nice thing to do. You just have to make sure that you're available and that you have very good data coverage when you actually get the calls.
And then there's a question, just clarification with Golan, because they did offer virtual numbers, and now you said that they're stopping to. This person is a customer of theirs, and they're just concerned that they'll lose the number.
So I don't know. I don't know if the people that have been grandfathered in, but I'm reminding you that all these companies, they give you that a limited promotion time, 2 years, 1 year. Some of them, like we discussed on the mobile levels, the prices are, they'll say, oh, this is the price for 2 years, for 3 years, again, because they want to lock you in. But the minute that promotion ends, they bump you to a different program. They notify you, they send you emails if they have your proper and correct email on account. Back to what I said, make sure that they have your proper contact information, and they text your Israeli number, because it's an Israeli company. They won't text you overseas. And even if you're current and you're paying your bills properly, if your promotion was over at Golan, I've heard people, again, not everyone, but I've heard people, they were bumped to a different program and their American numbers were lost and the British numbers were lost in Australia. Now, the reason that's happening is because, again, they're killing that product. They want to keep it simple, stupid, or plain vanilla. They didn't feel that the foreign numbers added any value to their offering when they're coming to compete on the mass market in Israel, where, let's be realistic, 90% of them do not need anything to do with foreign numbers on their cell phones, period.
Okay. And then there's a question here, just somebody that doesn't have contacts, family or friends, and they want to know, what they need to do. And that's in essence what we're saying. And I'll change here the slide to our contact information so everyone can see it. Obviously in this webinar, we can't get to every question and we can't get to everyone's situation, but we really invite you and encourage you to reach out to us, to myself or to Yirmi. We can go through and really figure out what your situation, because everyone has a different situation based on where they live and what their needs are. And that's one of the strengths of TCS, is they can very much find the right match for your needs. And so, here's our contact information. You can call us, you can email us, you can WhatsApp us, let us know what you need help with. And like I mentioned at the beginning, whether it's for your telecommunication needs, or if you're making Aliyah, or if you're just living in Israel and have a question, please reach out to us, and we're here to help in any way that we can. So I'd like to thank you, Yirmi, again for
Just
joining us tonight.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I just want to point out, with your permission,
Sure.
This is serious. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody for making this big decision. Those of you that are here as a child of Olim, I promise you they will thank you. It might take a little while, but they will thank you. It's definitely the boldest and most and the correct reason and decision to make in your lives. And God bless you. Those of you that Bezrat Hashem going to make Aliyah soon, some sooner, some later, welcome home. I can't say it in a different way. And I really mean that. Rafi, we've had many conversations about Aliyah, and it's something that's very close to my heart personally. And it's very important that we understand that that's what's going on, and that I want to acknowledge the fact that people are here preparing. That's it's something that, my parents just got on a plane, and I think just as yours in the first round, and just came. It wasn't they thought they knew they were coming. I also want to offer tonight a promotion, with your permission, Rafi,
Sure, of course.
that anybody that either registered for the webinar and attended, or those that couldn't attend for whatever reason, but those that registered for the webinar, that if over the next 2 weeks we sign you guys up, you'll receive 50% off your entire bill, your first bill, no matter what you order. You could even if you ordered a whole kit and caboodle, there's 50% off the first bill. No commitment, by the way. Again, I want to stress that. No commitment. If it's not good for you, it's not good for me. It's not good for anybody. I don't want that. We want to make sure what's best for you is possible. That's it. So if anybody's able to come, you have my contact information. You could contact us offline. And that's it. Unless you have anything you want to add, Rafi.
No, amazing. Thank you, Yirmi. And just make sure that when you contact TCS, let them know that you watch this webinar so that you get the promotion. And we want to just wish you lots of luck, whether you're making Aliyah, thinking about it, living here. We want to wish you a good week, a good month. Be safe, be healthy, and be well. And be in touch. All the best to you. Thank you again, Yirmi. Have a good night, everybody.
You too. Thank you. Call too.
Be well.
Bye-bye.